Yo, Steve, welcome back to the 3-2 podcast.
Otherwise,
Improvement
it's
from
like,
last time. I've got my charger with me, so
oh, I can
Gus,
I can do that. Yeah.
making progress here. How you doing?
I am wonderful. Royals are sitting at 500, so I could be doing better. We weren't the first team to 10 wins, but I wasn't. I wasn't counting on that. In fact, shocker, but we'll get to it. Who did win the race to 10? But I'm getting a little bit ahead of ourselves.
Well, no,
Baseball's back. It's good.
it is good. Cheers to you. What are you drinking today?
A nice frosty. This podcast brought to you, not really at all, by As Cool as the Rockies because they're blue, so you
There we
know that
go.
it's icy cold liquid refreshment. The hardest beer I've ever opened in my life. Actually, I took the pliers out to open this one. So yeah,
You
in
know,
very mannish fashion, I handed it to my wife to try to open for me, and she couldn't either. So
I'm telling you, Angry Orchard hard cider, nothing more manly than that.
I
Just saying.
used to drink that like it was going out of
Apple
style
juice.
back in
Yeah.
the day. Yeah, and I can't do the sweet stuff anymore. So yeah, the Angry Orchards, the Smirnoff Ices, that's 20 years behind me these days. So
You
yeah,
know, yeah. I'll regret it later.
yeah,
I'll
it's the
regret it later.
I just more than one. It's my stomach just roils with all the sugar. So
And I've heard that from others for sure. Padres, let's start there. Bro,
right,
what the hell? What is going on?
that's a surprise. Well, it's not totally surprising. I was, they were going to be competitive, but to be sitting, well, it's what is it, a three-way
Yeah.
tie now, or they're
No, no,
halfing.
no. Games are still going. It's Friday evening, April 11th. Games are still playing. I think the maybe the Giants game ended, but as of today, before games, we had Padres up front here with a 10-win, 3-loss record. The Giants in second, and lo and behold, the Dodgers at number three.
Oh,
Steve,
how you have fallen from the
oh
great
boy,
lofty heights at six
best.
wins above 500, having played 14. The Giants actually just won, so
Well, there you go.
they
See,
are tied.
yeah,
Oh
there
my
you go.
goodness!
Best record in MLB, no more. But are they the best team
And the
in the
beauty of small
majors?
sample sizes, right?
I mean, let's just call it here, Steve.
Season's
Let's just
over if
call
you're a
it.
Dodgers fan. You might as
We're
well enjoy
done.
your third place
We're
finish
done.
and think about next year. How
Monday
have the
20.
Padres done it? So yeah, I don't follow the NL that much, as listeners will know. I catch some headlines here and there. And how are they been managing to do it? Because their pitching has been,
Yes.
how would you say it? It's been pretty good. I mean, it's been good, right?
Well, they again they steamrolled through the Braves. They had a 3 or 4 game stint against them, so
Yeah,
that'll
got them.
help. The Cubs posed a bit of a challenge for them. And then they beat up on the Braves, and then they beat up on the Guardians. So you know if you're gonna beat up on teams, those are two teams to beat up on. So are you impressed or not? I mean, you beat up on the Guardians and the Braves. What does that tell you? Does that tell you anything?
Well, the Braves aren't as bad as that. They're what I mean. They're God. What is their record right now? That's just a shocker. 3-10.
They lost again, I believe.
Yeah.
Surprise,
Okay.
surprise.
I think they're going to be okay. They've dug themselves a bit of a hole, but I guess the Padres got them before they managed to figure some things out. So
And
we'll see when the Padres play some higher class teams.
here's what's
Although the
really
Guardians aren't bad. Like
they aren't bad. I think the Braves aren't that bad either. And you know what? Fangraphs, look at their odds, Steve. Fangraphs has them. The odds of them making the playoffs are better than the Padres, better than the Giants. In fact, their odds of winning the division are better than the Padres and Giants combined here. I mean, if
you
that's
told me that,
mind-boggling to
yeah,
me.
that is staggering. That's still what the odds are looking like. But I mean, yeah, okay, they've played 12 games. They have so many left to go. But yeah, I would have. If you would have told me that that was the projections of making the playoffs, that despite being, well, what are they sitting at now? Is that updated? No, they're 3 and
No, it's
10.
not. Yeah.
So 7 games below 500, and with Padres sitting where they're sitting, if you were to tell me that the playoff odds still had them more likely to make the playoffs, I would have been surprised. So that's a
But
stat.
not only that, their odds of winning the World Series, Steve, lo and behold, are much higher than the Diamondbacks, Padres, and Giants, I think, combined.
It's
Boom.
kind of similar. There's similar strength in both the East and the West too, right? There's sort of three and a half contending teams there. Well, I mean, assuming the Braves get it together, which I think that they will, right? I mean, Mets, Phillies, Braves, you think are sort of the
Yeah.
three. And there's three seems to be really, really good teams in the West. We sort of knew that the West was going to have at least three good teams. So it's just surprising. Like if it was the case that the Braves were playing in like the AL Central and they were 3 and 10, I'd say yeah because the division's so weak. But it's not the
Wait,
case either. They've got to go through the Mets and they've got to go through the Phillies still too. So
and
don't
really
count the
what?
Nationals out.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, really, what you're seeing here, to be honest, I think is a jam-packed NL West with the Dodgers odds-on favorites to not just make the playoffs, winning it on. And the Padres, Giants, Diamondbacks, in any other division would be a pretty competitive bunch.
In any other division. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Was it you that was talking to me about the idea of divisions in general in the playoff berths first coming from the division? Because the NFL had a proposal to sort of get rid of that idea. I forget who was complaining last year. I mean, it's a fairly valid point, is that you have a division winner who's whatever, not 9 and 7 now, 9 and 8 with 17 games.
Yeah.
It's still taking me a bit to get with the 17 game season in the NFL. But anyway, you have a division winner who's got a significantly worse record than a wild card berthing team. And yeah, this isn't on your topic list, but what do you think about that? Do you think that it should be based on division first? Division winners get that spot, and then you
I
put
think
wild cards there.
Yeah, I think we do need a revamp of that playoff bracketing, the way it's built out, and I know they've done some work with the wild card and how that all plays out, but last year, really the first year in quite a minute that we've seen the two best teams on paper, play against each other at in the World Series. Getting there was maybe easier for some of these wild card teams in the past, and I don't know, Steve. I feel like in baseball, it's a pretty momentum-driven sport, and I don't know if it's like that necessarily for football or basketball because I don't watch it as closely as I do baseball. But it's about getting hot, right? And the right team getting hot at the right time.
It seems to be players
Yeah.
hitting the right streak at the right time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can make that. I think that is sort of the consensus that despite the numbers and the randomness that you have there, players can sort of get hot and be seeing. Okay, if you don't want to just say it's arbitrary, seeing the ball particularly well, just swinging the bat particularly well, or a pitcher has really got his command going for a series or starts, however you want to say it. Yeah, finding the right, getting it at the right time. I think there's probably something to that.
Well, and speaking of playoff oddities, last year the Braves were sort of cheated out of a playoff berth by the way the end of the season played out for them. The Braves, Steve, the Braves, um, are they dead in the water? Yeah, they started 0-7. They're 3-10 now. Are they done for you? Because I surely, I had them in as a playoff contending team for sure. I mean
No,
I'm not out, but not outright. But I'm really what a bummer of unfortunate events. We'll talk about the PD stuff later. But Profar being suspended. Um,
How many games is he out for?
80. He's out for 80 games. Yeah, and when he comes back, he won't be allowed to participate in the playoffs. signed for 42 million. Anyhow,
That's fine.
we'll get there. But Acuna's still out. Yeah, and just they Sale didn't hasn't looked hot to me. Your Cy Young winner could be looking a lot better there. Um, I know
Uh,
we're a few games in, but how are you feeling on the Braves?
well, I'm not as hot as I was on them at the beginning of the year, that's for sure. Well, I wasn't ever scalding hot on them. I mean, I know you think I'm maybe using what I know now. I probably would have picked them as a team that I would say would disappoint. We had the disappoint or not disappoint segment, and I think I was tempted to take the Mets. I don't know if I talked about the Braves as well, so I'm not terribly surprised. But we just got done talking about streaks as well. So I think it's best to wait a little bit with the Braves before making these. Now, as you mentioned, as you mentioned, the troubles that they've had with starting with repeating their pitching talent. Yeah, we'll see. Give it another 30 or 40 games, and we'll see. We'll see where they're sitting closer to a quarter of the way through the season. But yeah, I'm not pulling the complete alarm bells or ejection levers on the Braves yet.
I had him winning the division, so
Well, pull up your betting odds graph again, and I don't think
there you go.
the betters haven't exactly pulled the plug on them either. I mean, yeah,
There's still a chance.
it hurts that they're in the East. So yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, good
but we'll
division
take it.
anyway.
We will take it. Crying in baseball, Steve. I don't know if you saw this. Roki Sasaki, rookie pitcher from Japan. He had a pretty all right start in Japan when they opened up the series against the Cubs. They played in LA and he didn't have a pretty stellar. He didn't have. He certainly didn't have the start he wanted. He got pulled out of the game. They take a shot of him. They pan to him in the dugout, and this is him. No, he is it allergies? Is it not? I think consensus here is he was showing a bit of an he was emoting here. Um, Crying in baseball. There's no crying in baseball. I forget there was a major leaguer who came out and called them soft. And I don't know that that's necessarily the case. I think I would want if I sit back and try and put my Dodgers bias to the side, I want to see a very passionate, emotional, baseball player. I don't want someone who's sort of throw in the towel and be done, nothing
Yeah, I
special.
think that's taking like the stoic idea of what we expect athletes and baseball players to be a bit too far. I mean, how old's the kid? Like, what he looks about 20.
22, 23,
Yeah, so he looks
maybe.
about
Yeah.
22. Okay, I can remember losing in the soccer state finals, right? The last competitive game of soccer that I played, and crying like a baby on the sidelines afterwards. Well, maybe not quite that much, but I mean, I was definitely emotional. Okay, so to take something like that, which is nothing compared to the pressure that this kid has got on him, right? You're talking about making it a
Oh yeah.
professional sport that's one of the hardest to make. And there's so much riding on it. He wants to do so well. The kid lets out a few tears. Jesus, give him a break. Like, he's in the dugout too. It's not like he's tearing up on the mound when he gets hit, right? Which, I mean, would I be able to even hold that together? Probably not. By the way, like, give him a break. The kid's doing it in the dugout. Like, I think it would be a decent thing if the cameras sort of gave the kid some privacy, right? Like, I think that it would be. Um, what's the right word that I'm looking for? One of the most hypocritical things to do to wag your finger at a kid for shedding a few tears in a game that's so important to him, when the same person who would criticize that put in the same situation would probably have an absolute breakdown. So,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, I
so
I
yeah,
I, I totally break down. I would
athletes,
absolutely break
yeah,
down.
I mean athletes. I think it's a good idea to be held to a little bit of a stoic standard. Like, I like the idea that if you get, hit by a pitch, tough it out a little bit. But that, like, control yourself, but there's appropriate times for being allowed. What does
Yeah.
that even mean? Allowed. To not be harshly judged based on having some human emotion. Kid has a bad start or not as well as he wanted to. Give the kid a break. Seriously.
Yeah, no, I agree. Give him a break, cut him some slack. Sure enough, he came back in his third start and performed better. Won his third game. Not too shabby for a rookie. Um, let's do a replay review here, Steve.
I
Torpedo
knew it was
bats.
going to come up.
Is this a nothing burger? Or
No.
what are your thoughts there?
I don't think it's a nothing burger.
You don't think it's a nothing
I
burger?
don't. Okay, so let's first get this out of the way. They're completely legal. They don't violate any of the major league rules on how a bat needs to be constructed with the weight, etc. So it's no cheating going on. Now, it's not a nothing burger either because okay. So before I make my opinions here, because they are just opinions, because the analytics on them are very much still out, right? Like actual large metrics and a large volume of data to determine how. Excuse me. That's the icy cold Coors Light making its emergence on your podcast. Excuse me. From what I understand, and I'm not a baseball bat physics expert. I'm just a keyboard warrior who's done 5 seconds of research, which by the online community that makes you an expert. But
it does.
So they can, I think, give a better sweet spot contact point for some hitters, right? Because it depends on where your, whatever you want to call it, your splat chart is on your bat and where you're more likely to make contact. So it's not going, okay, here, you're not saying all batters rushing to change their bats in. Now, that could be superstition, it could be comfort, it could be purely from an analytical standpoint. I think you can make a strong case that if every hitter were to change to torpedo bats, well, I mean, I'm not trying to mushy mouth this point, but it would help some and it would not help some. It would probably hurt some, actually, so we'll see.
To give you an anecdotal sort of situation here, Max Muncy, a few days ago, he got his torpedo bat. He tried it out. He went 0 for 2, 0 for 3 on his final attempt. I think it was bottom of the ninth. He went back to his traditional bat, opted for that, and he drove 2 runs in to tie the game. He was interviewed after the game, and he's like, "Why'd you switch back to the other bat?" Like, you know what? It didn't feel right, and I want to go tried and true in a crucial sort of pivotal moment.
Which, even if it was data driven, you could show for hitters that it would give them better contact or whatever. I think baseball's such a head game too, and confidence for these guys as well. So probably the truth is that if it gives so the physics aside from it, if a player thinks it's going to give him an advantage, that placebo is probably not nothing. If you pick that bat up in your hands and you get some confidence that you have a piece of equipment that's going to give you an advantage, then it probably has a good chance of doing that. And separating the placebo from the data is also going to be difficult as well when they're collecting this stuff. I have a cheating piece of that's the wrong word. I have a piece of equipment that's going to make me do better. I do better. This thing in my hands is just great, right? So it's going to take quite a bit of data for that placebo effect to sort of drop out of the statistics before we really get a firm idea of who it's going to be. I suspect some. Yeah, I don't know. There's so much data that's being collected team for team. Are they keeping track of the likelihood of contact points on the bat per hitters and telling guys where they're making?
They are at the way the origin story for the torpedo bat, the way I understand it, and it's not a new thing. It's sort of new to the public, but it's not new to baseball per se. The Yankees have their own sort of in-house analytics team that analyzes where where contact is being made, um, and some of these bats were sort of developed to sort of best fit the individual players.
Right.
So they have some of that data, and my understanding is other teams will do some of that as well. But I don't know what they do with that data specifically, other than, hey, you know what, this is a better bet for you. Not let's redesign a bet entirely and sort of make it your own. I think
Right.
that's the novelty of it all, and sort of what's intrigued people. The other piece too is, the Yankees, when this sort of news came out, they were they were living true to their Bronx Bomber sort of um persona. They sort of
Yeah, they
blew
hit
up
like
the Braves.
822 home runs in the first two series of the year, something
It
like
was
that.
ridiculous. It was unheard of. Yeah, I think it was like 15 home runs, which
Yeah,
is crazy across the
but most of
series,
the guys weren't using the torpedo bats who were hitting
which is
dingers,
also
right?
interesting too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Judge wasn't. Yeah.
right, Judge. Okay. What I would bet is going to happen, because just my theory here with it is, if you were going to have these torpedo bats introduced into your organization, you probably need to pair that with some heavy duty analytics of the contact points on the bats that your players are making. And I don't think all teams have the capacity to get that set up efficiently, quickly, and whatever. So what I bet will happen is people are going to hold their breath and watch the players in the organizations who are doing it carefully. And after a season or two, see if it does result in
Yeah.
actual increased productivity, right?
Yeah.
And if it's consistently doing that, then you'll probably see a copycat idea.
Oh yeah.
Probably torpedo bats will be back on the back under the rules committee, et cetera, et cetera. But so yeah, is it a nothing burger? We'll see.
Yes.
Physics wise, I don't think so, but you need the analytics behind it to see who ought to be using one and who ought to not be. So yeah.
So PED, Steve, we briefly touched on this. Jurickson Profar suspended 80 games. And what are your thoughts on PEDs in general?
Yeah,
And maybe
well,
react to that suspension specifically.
well, okay, I don't know anything about what he got busted with, so I don't
So
follow.
yeah, so I can give you some background there. So it's my understanding he's got busted for he tested positive for an agent that sort of masked or would hide the existence of any performance enhancing drug in the system, a hormone present in I think pregnant women. It's something others have been busted for in the past. He was apologetic in his statement, said something to the effect of copy paste of all generic statements. I
I'm
didn't
sorry, I
knowingly
got
take
caught.
it.
Right.
Yeah, pretty much. What makes his story interesting is he was a $1 million player who, for all accounts and purposes, was a nobody.
Were you able to reassign?
Somehow,
Move the shelf to me?
somehow maybe took this drug and became a $42 million player
Okay, so we moved
overnight.
all of his shit.
Sort of interesting. For me, it's one of those things where it's like, hey,
Yeah,
if
because I
you're
want
gonna
to
take
put
a
all of my
gamble
stuff
and
here.
go from 1 million to 42 million, is that not a gamble you take as a player? And how do
Yeah,
you
well, that's
dissuade
why.
yourself from that?
Why I get so upset with PEDs. Well, okay. So one of the problems with me analyzing PEDs in baseball is I actually don't know and I'm not sure anyone really knows, other than maybe the player, is who's using it and getting away with it still. Because baseball's really, really cracked it. It's no longer the Wild West of PEDs of baseball, as far as I understand it. Right? They do something like 11,000 PED screenings every year. It's something like that. You look that up while I'm talking. How many PED tests league wide did they do in pick a year? I guess it's 10 or 11,000, something like that. It's they get screened a ton. Now, whether or not the technology is matching what the substance use is, I'm not sure. So the truth of who's actually doping these days, I have no idea. So okay, so that aside is I don't know who's still doing it.
So I have
Using
numbers for you. I have
Yeah, go
numbers
ahead.
for you.
Go ahead.
So in 2024, 11,609 drug
Man,
tests comprising of 9,455 urine samples and a little over 2,000 blood samples.
Right. So where I have the most sympathies, and this is the heartbreaking part of PED usage for me, is it's difficult for me to think of another sport that's more difficult to make it. Right? It's just
Yeah.
maybe soccer. I don't know, but there's a lot of leagues you can go to play soccer. Well, I guess there are a lot of baseball leagues, but there are so many players trying to get to the majors. And I just put myself in the shoes of you're a double A, triple A player. You've been in the minors for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, right? You're right on the fringe. Maybe you've had a call up. Maybe you've been 40 man, whatever. You're almost there and you never make it. And you're never anything but on minor league contracts your entire life. You get to 30, 31, right? No one's picking you up in the Rule 5. And you look at yourself in the mirror and you have to decide that it's time to hang up the gloves and the spikes.
Yeah.
Where it's heartbreaking to me is this. If someone took that guy's spot of equivalent or whatever talent, or slightly diminished talent, let's say, and they won that guy's spot because that player, who was their teammate in the clubhouse in AA or AAA or whatever, said, well, I'm going to use PEDs, and they stole that player, the clean player spot. That is the most egregious crime of it. So this guy can apologize. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do it. He needs to apologize to all the AAA players and all the AA players and all the players whose you've cheated. Because it's more than just, I get the suspension and whatever. Yeah, it's the clean guys, the guys with integrity in the minor leagues who don't get that opportunity because of the doping. Once again, I said I don't know how rampant it is anymore. But it's one of the most, God, do I dare say it? It's borderline evil. Like, to screw a deserving person, an honest person with integrity, out of what they deserve because another player cheats, it puts it on a whole other level for me.
So let me ask you this then. What's your okay? So maybe we start here. 80-day suspension, is that enough at this point?
No, it should be lifetime ban immediately.
Right.
Period.
Great.
End of story. I do not care. There's yeah. Go ahead.
So the one sort of counterpoint to that I've heard.
As well. I have a counterpoint as well. Go ahead.
Is that there's false positives.
Exactly.
And I've heard. And I've heard from MLB players that is a thing that happens, and it's unfortunate. But to their credence, to their point, it's if I know I have not, and I know for a fact it's a false positive, I am fighting tooth and nail to prove my innocence because it's a scar on your name.
Yeah, the false positives, this is also a false positive, but the guys who take something legitimate that triggers the test, still a false positive. Right. Whatever. You take some allergy. I don't know. Not only am I not a torpedo bats expert, I'm also not a, what would the word be?
A clinician of sorts.
Is that, yeah, someone in chat's going to be shouting the name of what the doctor or the scientist is who is looking at, blood work. Toxicologist. That's got
there you go.
That's got to be it.
That's the word. That's the word.
So in case you were wondering, I am not a toxicologist, but you take some allergy medicine or whatever, and it triggers the test and gives banned, lifetime ban. Well, no. But for the cases where the certainty is just clear, like, I'm happy to have some distinctions, but for someone who is legitimately caught, like, lifetime ban. Like, you're banning Pete Rose, we don't need to rehash that conversation. Lifetime ban.
What do you think of Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire? Give me your thoughts. And A-Rod, who's now like the face of MLB on Fox during the playoffs.
Okay, the best count, because I know what my opinion is, but I'll give the counter argument just because I think that's intellectually fair, is when they made their run, I was watching almost every game they were playing, right? We'd be flipping back and forth watching McGwire and Sosa. And it was incredible to watch that home run chase. At the time, it was incredible what they did for the spectacle of it. That he was going to hit, what was it, 62 is what he hit to break it, right?
Something like that. Yeah, that sounds right.
62.
67. I don't know why that comes to mind. Let me see.
I think it's 62 that he hit, or 663 or 62 was the number. God, I'm a terrible baseball fan. I don't even. How many was it?
I'll find it for you right now.
Okay, yeah. It was just electric. Like, I can remember.
62. You were right.
Yeah, 62. Dude, I was pulling out the stats. Don't worry, I'll come
Mark
up
hit
with.
70.
Yeah, but it was 62 to break it.
It was 62, right? Yep.
It was really exciting and amazing, and just dude. I bet the ratings for those games were just through the roof. So that aside, okay, I don't. My stance towards PED still holds. Is you can do a whole bunch of things to increase your ratings that you ought not to do, and yeah, juicing up and hitting 70 dingers. Well, I'd rather. Well, the old record wouldn't stand because we have players like Aaron Judge who are hitting this day and age. But it's just it's a shame.
I have two Sammy Sosa memories. One being him being at a hearing saying he doesn't speak English or he doesn't understand English. That's one that comes to mind. Most recently, and this was sort of interesting watching. I was watching sort of the introduction to the opening series in Japan, and they had a montage where they're showing like baseball sort of through the ages. You've got Babe Ruth, Ken Griffey. They showed Jackie Robinson, and then they showed this image, which really intrigued me. Sammy Sosa, 1998, and there you have the Tokyo Dome. And this is and MLB put this together, and I didn't know how to sort of wrap my head around that. What does that tell me as a viewer? Where does MLB sort of are we? Has enough time gone by where this is okay now, and we're sort of looking at things through?
No, because
how do you read into this? What do you read into this?
Well, okay, this was back before. So I don't know how many players were doping during the 90s. If I was guessing, it would be a pretty high percentage, right? Whatever, take probably
not Frank
more
Thomas. He made that clear.
Yeah, like.
But you had a bunch.
Klesko, I mean, it's just I don't know how many guys were, okay? But if you happen to be a guy with integrity who was not doping in the 90s, do you look back on that Sammy Sosa picture and these, still in the conversation? McGuire, Sosa, we don't need to talk about Bonds, but are you looking back saying, man, if I just would have sacrificed my integrity, I could be heralded as this hero from the 90s who did these remarkable things? And that's just the phoniest, most, like, yeah, it's ridiculous. It's like that is the opposite of integrity. To earn accolades unjustly very few things are worse to me than that, just ethically speaking. So.
And it's very interesting. Mark McGuire was the hitting coach for the Dodgers too. I mean, I just think of all these players who were confirmed dopers who are still around who aren't blacklisted. It's sort of interesting.
Yep.
Way things have changed.
A healthy ethical society, in my opinion, would want absolutely nothing to do with those guys. And if there was that standard that was upheld, you wouldn't need lifetime ban PEDs because the thought of someone doing that would be so disgraceful that
let me give you this
alone
one.
would of what is in people's minds of the kind of person that you are to go and do that to earn to get unearned accolades. It's just it's abhorrent.
So let me pitch this one to you, sort of tangential but different in many respects. What are your sentiments on the sticky stuff? Pine tar or insert name of other sort of substance to sort of help
the pitcher's concoction that they were and still are allowed to use, and there's a few other substances.
I've heard some interesting stuff. I remember hearing Kershaw long ago talk about how he would put gel on his hair and sort of do the old run your hand through the hair thing.
Well, now they're checking hands and gloves, so so they have been more creative at cheating, or
So
Yeah,
here's
look.
my stance. It should
Okay.
be allowed. We should make it a universally accepted
All
thing.
right. Well, that's the other position that you can go with is make everything as legal as you can make it. PEDs, whatever. I mean,
It's not something you're ingesting. To me, I think of it as an
oh, you
equipment
mean the
piece.
substances? You're
The
not saying
substance stuff,
PEDs,
not
maybe.
PEDs, the sticky
Hello.
stuff.
Okay. Okay. Any foreign substances are legal.
I think so. Let me tell you why. Check this
Control.
out. So I went through yes, I went through a rabbit hole. Here's an interesting graph for you. So injured list. So players, pitchers who have made the injured list and have needed Tommy John. Take a look at that over the years, 2005 to 2024. Um, it's gone up. It's gone up, and to no surprise, you compare injuries to velocity, and there's a correlation. Where am I getting with
The
this? Right,
substance. Yeah. How does substance work into your definite correlation?
hit by pitch by season,
All right.
so that's gone up. And
Okay.
then at the end of the day, if you want to sort of make things right by baseball players, by the numbers here. So total hit by pitch injuries, total days missed as a result by hit by pitch, average days missed, surgeries required, concussions. I mean, at this point, the ball's not slowing down. People are incentivized to throw triple digits. You're blowing your arms out as a result. I think that you even the playing field by inserting some sort of substance to make baseball a bit safer. I mean, what do you think of that? Is that
If you're gonna
absurd?
make a tack or whatever, then you have to have rules around who's
Absolutely.
allowed to use it. Now, you're also making an assumption with your data, I think, which could be correct. I just am not sure. Is that introduction of whatever, some highly tacky substance, let's say that's illegal today, that's beyond whatever, the talcum powder that they're allowed to use, and
Right.
they're allowed to use a little bit more than that, right? Like legally.
I
I
don't know
know all the
exactly.
stories of
Yeah.
pitchers mixing sweat
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I've
and
heard those for
spit
sure.
with pine tar and
The cap.
all
Yeah,
this
you've
stuff
got.
that they use.
Oh yeah.
But there are some legal substances that they're allowed to use for tack. But going beyond that and having it be a very, very tacky substance that be allowed to use, you're making an assumption, which could be correct, but I'm not sure, is that introducing an illegal substance would reduce the number of players hit by pitch. Right? That's your.
That's one. That's one
I
piece.
would
I think.
right.
I think.
I'm not sure that's true.
You don't think so?
Well,
Why not?
because it could be when a player
Could be.
has more tack, they're generating more spin. You're assuming it's just going to give them more control to throw the pitch where they want it, which is possible. Probable. I'll say it's probably. You could be right. If I was betting, I'd probably say you're going to be right. But I need some data to suggest that substances that are allowing grip are definitely going to reduce the hit by pitch. Because it could be, oh shit, I've got more control over this pitch. I can yeet this thing and try to get 2 or 3 more miles an hour faster. So it might actually have a negative result. Pitchers might actually try to throw harder with less control if they think they have more control on the ball. I'm not quite sure. If I
Sort
was
of an
betting, once
interesting.
again, I'd say you're right. I would say that a tack, a presently illegal tack that would be made legal by use anything you want, use hair gel and get that thing just stuck to your hand so you can't, whatever. Well, because spin rates are going to go up, right?
They would certainly gonna go up, and it would make baseball harder, I suppose, for hitters. It's sort of interesting, right? I don't know what the solution is, but there is certainly that trend where you hear it every day. So and so is on the IL. So and so needs a Tommy John. So and so is
Well,
done.
I think it's possible that with the introduction of a tacky substance that's more tacky than what it is today, I'm not so sure you'd reduce Tommy Johns. It might have no effect on the amount of Tommy Johns. It might increase them. The pitchers would try to throw even harder, even more control. I have no idea. So,
Fair, very fair, very fair.
I
Interesting.
to anyone listening, I am 100% speculating. There is not a speck of data that I have. If you're sitting at home and you're a better
Wondering.
researcher than I, better researcher than me, better researcher than I, better
Better
researcher than I
researcher.
am.
period.
If you're a better researcher, please, by all means, drop a comment about what your opinions are. I would love to hear it. This is a fascinating topic, one that we could dig a heck of a lot.
Oh yeah, maybe we
with
revisit.
some meat on the bones past our speculation about the spin rate. Does spin rate correlate to less control?
True. Great question.
Depends on
I
the pitch,
don't know.
probably, right? Depends on the pitch.
And maybe you make certain pitches illegal. I don't know. I don't know. And then
So
now
you're
we're
okay
just
with
going.
making any
Now we're
foreign
going.
substance illegal on the baseball, but that screwball, tut, you can't throw that. Yeah. I wish the screwball was come back.
Arbitrary.
I love that pitch.
Arbitrary. I
My
don't know.
favorite pitch. What's your favorite? Do you
Bring
have a favorite
back
pitch?
Oh, I do. A 12-6. I love Kershaw's
Okay.
12-6.
Yeah, that's
It was
a
really
good one to
nice.
like. So if you
Um,
could make it to the majors, and you were just the best pitcher at one pitch only, what do you pick?
see, okay, so now you made it interesting because my response would be different. If
An
I was gonna
average repertoire with
realistically
everything else but one pitch.
knuckleball.
That's what I would pick too, because I'm going
Yeah.
for career longevity, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
45-year-old knuckleballer.
Yeah.
Tim
I could
Wakefield,
see
I
you
miss
out-
him.
I
He
could
was
see
good.
you out there. Yeah.
There's a
Could never throw
Padres
it.
pitcher who does it, or who used to. I don't know if he's still around.
Are there
Um,
any active
there-
knuckle? I mean, I know there are guys who can throw it, but I mean like a
competitively. Oh,
like
yeah.
a Dickey type, actual true blue knuckle.
Oh god, yeah, he was wild too. My
R.A.
god.
Dickey, or who was the guy for the Red Sox? Oh God,
Tim Wakefield.
What Wakefield?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me see. Padres player who throws knuckler. Let's see.
I'm not talking about a knuckle curve, right?
No, I think it's a straight. I think it's a knuckleball.
Okay.
Let's see what ChatGPT tells me here.
Yeah.
Here we go. Matt Waldron.
Cool.
Obscure name for you. MLB debut 2023. He throws a knuckleball 38.2% of the time, highest percentage in the league. He is a bullpen guy.
I was just going to say, I had a theory that he'd have to be a starter because you wouldn't want a knuckleballer to be in the bullpen, because this was going to be my guess. I had this whole spiel going on in my head. I was going to just, and then you just flatlined me saying it's in the bullpen. I was going to say you wouldn't want a knuckleballer to be a bullpen guy because he's likely going to have his duties by coming on to when guys are on base. And given that knuckleballs are unpredictable, you'd be less likely to be a knuckleballer coming out of the bullpen because you're going to advance runners more frequently than a guy who's just throwing traditional pitches. But that got blown out of the water. He's a bullpen guy who throws a knuckleball.
He's a bullpen guy.
Wow. And I sort of had this in my head as the two knuckleballers that I could think of were starters, obviously.
Yeah, no, and maybe this is where things shift, right? Maybe you see more bullpen guys. But look at that knuckler.
There's a bit of rotation on that. That is not.
There is. Yeah,
That's
it's not as bad.
knuckle.
Yeah, I want to see some of these other knuckleballs. I've not seen him pitch. That looked like it didn't have much rotation. That looked like a true knuckleball. Bring back the
where the hell
knuckleball.
were we? What were we talking about?
War.
How to pee these knuckleballs. Jesus.
War. Let's go to war. Let me just watch this replay. Let's see.
Oh, look at those jerseys. They're so ugly.
They are. That we can agree on.
Oh,
there's some there's some spin to it. I don't know that I would call it a true knuckleball.
That had some action on it. That's pretty good. That looked pretty goofy.
It did.
Okay. If I end up getting the next MLB The Show and I get the updated rosters, which I haven't, I have not, John. Sometime we can talk about MLB The Show, but then I'll play the Padres and I'll huck some knuckleballs at the plate.
You do well, war. You brought this up. This was interesting. I was surprised. Tell me about it. You did some digging here.
So I had I thought I was so smart, and I messaged John. It's like, well, I'm just gonna tell all this, opinion about why Babe Ruth's 1923 season shouldn't really be considered the highest WAR season. is I thought, oh, okay, 14.1 in 1923. I thought, yeah, it's not really fair, though, if he's getting to... Now, if you know... Don't scream into your microphone at home or at your computer until I finish this story, because I went on a little trip with this 14.1 point. Because I thought it's kind of unfair if he's getting to have his pitching statistics and his batting statistics adding together to his WAR. Because I always knew that this was the number one WAR season. And I thought, yeah, it's kind of bullshit, though. It's almost like giving a position player two spots in the batting lineup and getting him to field, two positions simultaneously if you're giving him defensive WAR metrics and all that stuff. And I thought, yeah, that's kind of crap. So I went clickety-clack on my keyboard, looking at how his WAR was broken down. And I thought, oh, okay, let's see what his batting WAR was and what his pitching WAR was. And then I'll make the case to John that Babe Ruth does not have the greatest WAR season. It's Babe Ruth the batter and Babe Ruth the pitcher. And those two players combined, which is unfair for Yastrzemski and the rest when it comes to WAR. And This is what blew my mind away. Do you know how many innings Babe Ruth pitched in 1923?
I know the answer to this one. So, yeah, 0. I was surprised, too.
I could not believe it. That's 14.1 WAR at the plate only. And so once again, my entire premise and it's going to be so juicy, completely out the window. So, yeah,
By that logic, though, Steve, this is surprising. I don't see Shohei in that top 10.
Yeah, well, 10 WARs, yeah. I mean, Shohei had... Wait a second. Ought you not to? Didn't Shohei have an 11?
Let's look that up.
Maybe he didn't, because he's been off the mound so frequently. Would have been still with the Angels. What's his WAR by year?
Looking that up.
Yeah.
Highest WAR.
What do you think of WAR? Do you like it as a metric for? Is it truly wins above? Like, do you think it accurately reflects and calculates wins above replacement?
I don't know. So I will say this: it looks like he had a 10.1 WAR season in 23.
Yeah. That's his highest, right?
That's his highest, which is not as high as Mike Trout's. Yeah, just off the list. But I am surprised. I guess he should be more up there. WAR's an interesting stat. All these. I'm old school. Yeah,
you like OPS. You're an OPS guy, right?
Dumb it down more. Show me batting average. Show me RBIs. Show me runs.
Oh man, you don't care about slugging. You don't care about on base. You're just if that batting average isn't 350, then you suck. Yeah. You stink.
Pretty much. I look at stat. The only time I ever look at stats truly is when I'm drafting for my fantasy baseball teams. Right. That's the only time I look at stats. And WAR isn't necessarily one of the best sort of options to sort of consider. But it's interesting. I don't know. It's interesting. We'll leave it there. But it led me to sort of bring this sort of interesting argument. We were chatting, and I said, Ohtani. I've heard he's a better pitcher than he's a better hitter, and it's sort of I'm a nobody, but let me let you hear it from someone who maybe knows.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Ohtani. I make the claim that he is and can be the greatest pitcher in our game, but he's not just pitching. So that kind of puts him back a little bit, but not so much that you can't talk about him in the top 5 category of pitchers in our game.
What do you think of that? What do you think of that?
Yeah, and then he went on to say that he ought to just be pitching and not hitting.
Which is sort of, it's interesting.
So I said to you, you can't, if I was evaluating that as a manager, it's not is he a better, let's assume you're going to have him do one. You'd have to look at what your wins above replacement is for the fill-in of the position that he's vacating. So maybe for the Dodgers it does make sense that he pitches, because as far as I understand it, the back end of your rotation is might be your Achilles heel. I'm talking about your fourth and fifth, who
we have glass arm pitchers.
Yeah, but Kershaw hasn't really made it. We'll see how he
Kershaw
does.
hasn't come back. Dustin May sort of, he was in and out of the injury
Yeah, so you've
list.
sort of been struggling to fill that fifth spot.
Gonsolin's been in and out. I mean, sort of interesting there for sure.
So that's a reasonable argument to say that, well, given the Dodgers' needs, he's more valuable as a straight pitcher and not degrading himself. If I buy that he's degrading himself on the field, and it's compromising what he could accomplish on the mound, which is probably fair.
Well, and I don't know what I don't know, and I don't know lots of things, Steve. But I think of Babe Ruth. He was a two-way player too. Can you imagine us
physical
talking
specimen too, tip-top shape his whole career.
Yes. Maybe I need to open up a history book to sort of counter that one. But can you imagine not hearing about him as a hitter? Because maybe he was a above average pitcher, and he was never able to perform to his full potential because he was hitting them out of the park like no other.
Right. Yeah, like if you made the case that who was that? Who was in the interview? That was
John Smoltz.
Oh, I was gonna say I had Glavin, and I knew it wasn't Glavin.
Same
Smoltz.
team.
Okay, yeah, I had 1990s Braves in my head when I saw him. I was like, okay. Anyway, if you gave Ohtani that argument when he was developing, yeah, he'd be a really good Japanese player. He'd be an excellent Japanese player. But I think that what makes him so intriguing is that he's just a superstar at both positions. So I think it'd be a shame. I think it's really cool that he's capable of doing both. Okay, so from a managerial perspective, you need to look at what you're losing versus what you're gaining. And I don't think that the argument's going to hold. I think you'd be losing too much. Like, you take Ohtani's bat out of the lineup so you can get a pitcher who's like a
Yes.
I mean, what was his ERA the last time he actually pitched?
With these jars.
2.9, something like that. So you're going to get a really good. Is he a top 5 pitcher?
John Smoltz thinks so.
Yeah, well, he knows a hell of a lot more than I do about baseball. A top 5 pitcher, top 10. I'll easily say top 10. There's some really, really good pitchers. I mean, I'll give you my guess for who's going to win the AL Cy Young.
So in 2022, he had a 2.33 ERA.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. So what's more valuable to your team? A guy who's going to win 18 games and have a 2.33 ERA, or a guy who's going to put 50 over the fence?
It boils down to the guy who can show up for you every 5th or 6th day, or the guy who can be there every day.
Yeah. Well, there's always that debate of what's more valuable, a high-quality starting pitcher or a high-quality position player. I think the best answer to that is it depends upon where your holes are in your team and where you need them to be filled. Because if you've already got 4 or 5 reasonably good starting pitchers, that absolute ace is going to bump you not nearly as many wins as if you're replacing an absolute trash arm. So,
I think the closest answer to what we might be able to see, and or the impact you might see of he chooses to bat or he chooses to pitch. Last year he stole 50 bases. He's not stealing 50 bases this year because he's also, in all likelihood, will be pitching as well, because he was able to focus all his time, effort, and energy sort of hit and in his offensive capabilities. He didn't have to worry about pitching. He didn't have to worry about maybe conserving some energy.
Highest average exit velocity too, right?
He is wild. I heard him compared. Someone said he's the LeBron James of baseball, and I don't know if they were insulting Ohtani or LeBron James in that statement, but I think he's much bigger than that. I think I honestly don't know that we'll see another player like him ever.
I wouldn't say ever. Ever is a long, long time, but yeah, for a long time, yeah. Particularly if you're still getting Smoltz, that's probably why you haven't seen the reemergence of a two-way player. Now, probably not as great as Ohtani, but because you're kind of that sentiment that Smoltz had
Alright,
is
where am I hiring from?
kills a lot of two-way player prospect dreams anyway. Is why, kid, it's so hard to make it as it is. Just be excellent at one of those things and do it.
Right.
So it's no surprise that it came from the international market.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like if you were told you have talent in both, your chances of making it if you're taking your training time developing both of those is probably going to be, you're going to be less likely to make it if you dilute your training time. Whereas if you specify, you're going to have a higher chance of making it. And that's absolutely the sentiment in American baseball. Absolutely.
Let me go to this next question. Or next topic, highest paid. I saw an interesting tweet go out. And I want you to look at this graph or this image here and tell me if anything sort of surprises you, and or maybe someone who's on here who maybe you would like to see, replaced by someone else. I think Cody Bellinger is certainly an outlier here. He sort of, to me, doesn't belong. He's a great guy. He played for the Dodgers. I loved him when he was here. But he's interesting. I don't know that I see him as being the highest paid center fielder. I was looking at, I like Lindor, but Bobby Witt Jr. should have been a more highly paid player, and
I will
he
take
isn't.
Bobby Witt every day of the week and on Sunday over Francisco Lindor.
Even Ellie De La Cruz.
If I hire someone else.
I will take Ellie De La. That's closer. That is closer. Ellie De La Cruz is fantastic. Bobby Witt Jr. is the best shortstop in all baseball. One of the best players in all baseball. Like, he's unknown or less known because he's on the Kansas City Royals, a small market team, right? Like, Francisco Lindor over Bobby Witt? Are you kidding me? But that's just the payrolls, right?
That's payroll.
Bobby Witt took a Patrick Mahomes-esque team-friendly contract to play with the Royals and likes the organization, and I mean, he's revered in Kansas City. So,
And maybe it pays off over time.
Yeah, I hope so. Go back to that graph.
Yeah, let me
So
pull it up.
I'm going to sound like an idiot here, just to show you how detached I am from some teams. When did Altuve get moved to left?
Okay, bro, it's ridiculous. That was another topic I want to talk about, maybe. But Altuve plays left field, and he's not a very good left fielder.
Yeah.
Mookie Betts plays shortstop, and he's not a very good shortstop. There's this trend of moving away from some of these defensive metrics and really focusing on sort of maximizing
squeezing in as many bats as you can, regardless of if they actually play the position. Well, that's
correct. Yeah. Altuve's never before played left field, and
so that's this year they put him in left. Is that true?
Yeah, some of the spring training videos I've seen on him were not very favorable defensively, and it's still early, I suppose. Mookie Betts done some of that too, where he's dropping balls or missing balls in Mookie's case. But at least Mookie's played shortstop in his lifetime.
Right.
Altuve's not touched an outfielder glove.
That's crazy. I mean, I know you can develop a guy obviously at a different position, but to do it in such an advanced career, wow.
Well, not only that, so the logic behind it, hey, you're not a great second baseman, so let's put you in left field. That's funny to me. I mean, I don't know.
Wow.
If defense doesn't matter for you that much, I mean, I don't know. Just keep him at second. That's the position.
So how many of those players do you think are the top three at their position on the highest paid? What's your opinion?
Three.
At their position.
At their position, Soto for sure. Realmuto's wild. I love him. He's great. Ohtani.
You think Realmuto is the best catcher in baseball?
I think so. He's sort of well rounded. He's great defensively, and so maybe a bit of bias there. I saw him throw out a few Dodger players trying to steal. Couldn't steal on the guy. And then gritty players. He cuts his hand, and despite the cut, was able to sort of throw someone out trying to steal second. Ohtani's certainly the best in his position. Vlad, No, I think there's better first basemen.
Okay, yes. So Vladimir Guerrero
Edwin
Jr.
Diaz now.
I call into question for sure. Like
I
you might call me crazy. I might take Bryce Harper. I know he's up and down, but he seems to have reemerged.
a bias. I like Freddie.
Simeon, I'm okay with.
I'm okay with him.
Bregman a third, okay.
I don't know. Are you talking just if you're talking defensively? I like Arenado's defense. He's still got it.
I agree.
Right now, he's having a wild, time playing third base and hitting. His hitting stats are looking pretty good.
But
Edwin Diaz, I don't think he's the best.
If you want just a pure, well, even not a pure hitter, I think he's got a couple Gold Gloves as well. Although his defense has been shocking this year. You've got Jose Ramirez. I don't know if he has a platinum glove. He's got at least 2, but he's made 7 errors already this year. It's nuts. But anyway.
I'm gonna chuck it up to the season just started on him.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just wild.
Zach Wheeler surprised me. I thought it would have been Garrett Cole.
Yep.
But I'm guessing what they're doing is a per year sort of here.
Or Paul Skeens, however you pronounce his last name.
Yeah, Paul Skeens would be nice to see here. Still a young.
But I mean, he hasn't hit his payday yet, right?
Yeah.
He's still on his minor league contract.
Yeah, give him some time.
We'll see. His price tag's going to be huge for the Pirates. Nice to see the Pirates get some talent. I like. I always get him in my MLB The Show franchise. Detroit Tiger. They're really young stud.
Skubal?
No, not pitcher.
No, he's not that young.
Not pitcher, and I think
hitter?
He plays right. Good Lord, my brain just fails me these days. It'll come to me mid-conversation in the next. Yeah.
I don't know who you're talking about.
Hang on.
We gotta look at him. Gotta look him up.
Detroit Tigers young outfielder.
No,
I think that's outfield.
I'm gonna start rattling off.
As soon as you say the name, that's it.
Riley Green.
Riley Green. Yay. Yeah. I got it at the same time. I like Riley Green a lot. Well, you couldn't remember his damn name. I just get him in MLB The Show, and he's a stud. And we have to play against him in Detroit,
Guys, speaking of Riley Green, I just watched a video of opening day at Petco Park. David Wells on the mound. Khalil Green playing shortstop, I think it was. Some of these names that I've not heard in ages. While they're playing the Giants.
Green's that's an old player, right?
Yeah. David Wells, older. Yeah, was it 19? I don't know. I don't remember when Petco Park opened up.
It's an old Padre. That's right.
Yes, Trevor Hoffman.
Okay, I know Trevor Hoffman.
God. Anyhow, so you're starting a team, Steve. You're starting a team, and let me just show you this video, and let me see what you think.
Who'd you rather have, Shohei Ohtani or Aaron Judge?
Aaron Judge, no question about it. Best hitter in baseball, best player of our generation.
Judge. Give me my captain, Aaron Judge. Personally, Aaron Judge.
I mean, as a Yankee fan, obviously, Judge.
Aaron Judge, baby. Best player in the world.
Right now, in the moment, I would say Ohtani. The two-way factor for him is undeniable.
Aaron Judge. No doubt? Aaron Judge, for sure.
Aaron's like the man's man, dude. He's a tall, good-looking son of a bitch.
Aaron Judge.
Steals are so cheap these days, and they're like, oh, Ohtani went 50-50. With the new rules, the bigger bases, you can't throw over twice. Steals are so cheap. Aaron Judge, better average, better slugging percentage, more home runs, more RBIs. In a worse lineup, he's a better ball player.
I don't know, Steve. Let's not address the delusion these Yankees fans sort of live under.
Yeah, imagine not saying Bobby Witt Jr.
Wow. So that's who you're. So if you're starting a team,
I'm starting a new team. Bobby Witt Jr. for sure.
Bobby Witt Jr.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Interesting.
Yep. I mean, let's go to Wars last year. Now I know I know that he did. Okay, pull him up. Can we pull up the Wars of Aaron Judge, Bobby Witt Jr., and Shohei Ohtani last year, and then let's pull up player age and the contracts that they're under. Because I also need to have a player who's going to be willing to, take team-friendly contracts and not
How more
400
team
million.
friendly can you get than Otani's
Saved.
$2 million a year?
Yeah, 2 million a year is pretty sweet. Yeah, amazing.
And let the verbiage.
Here you go. Aaron Judge. It's a war. Aaron Judge 10.8, Bobby Witt 9.4, Shohei 9.2.
Ah, there you go. Bobby Witt had a higher WAR than Otani. Let's go. I mean, Judge had a phenomenal season last year, but yeah, I'm going with Bobby Witt.
Gunnar Henderson 9.1. Not bad.
Really? Dang.
Quit.
Wow. Those were the highest WAR players in order from last year?
Yeah. So top 4. Jared Duran, not familiar with him, 8.7, plays for the Red Sox.
Yeah.
Juan Soto in 6.9.
Yeah. Now let's check ages of players.
Gunnar, how do you not like a guy whose first name is Gunnar? First of all, come on now, Bobby.
There's
Going based on names here.
Bobby Baseball, man. Aaron Judge is 32 years old. Bobby Witt Jr., 24 years old. You told me I was building a new team, not that I was winning tomorrow.
You are building a new team.
Okay, so will I take the 24-year-old who's like almost equivalent in WAR, or am I taking the 32-year-old?
So to me, then,
am I taking? Hang on, I'm not done getting on my soapbox. Just a second.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Am I taking the 24-year-old who's a Gold Glover at a premium position, or am I taking the guy who makes fantastically egregious errors in a World Series game?
Fair.
Right.
Fair.
Bobby Witt Jr. all day over Judge. If I'm starting a new team, I'm not making the argument that last year Bobby was more valuable. Judge obviously was a higher WAR. He hits more home runs. Yeah, okay, great. He plays at Yankee Stadium where you can hit a 320-foot home run to right field. Like, okay. Most of his home runs were for left field. Yeah, okay, probably. But
Gunner's
it's a very
23.
easy ballpark to hit home runs in. Now,
Gunner's 23. If you're going age, if you're going based on age, Gunner's got you on 1.
It's a good answer. Gunnar Henderson's a fine answer too. If someone were to say Gunnar Henderson,
I'm being contradictory. I like Bobby Witt. If you're starting a new team,
you know the answer is Bobby Witt. You know it to be true in your heart of hearts. You pick Bobby Witt Jr. And all of you at home should too. And he's a great guy, by the way. Now I've heard Aaron Judge is pretty cool too. But
and maybe we end on this, Steve. If you had the opportunity to watch one of these players in their prime, who are you watching? Hank Aaron, Koufax, Mano, Ruth, Page, Gibson, Gehrig, Lunez, Johnson here. Who do you watch? One game. Go back in time. You watch one game in their prime. You pick the game.
Wow, that's quite a question. Oh my God, I can't go wrong here. Oh my Lord, I might take Satchel Paige. He's one of my favorite pitchers.
Really?
Sandy would be good to, yeah. The guys who are such good hitters, Aaron, Ruth, Gehrig, etc. Like, I told you my favorite player in baseball is probably Greg Maddux. So,
ditto.
Yeah, I might take Nolan Ryan actually, who you didn't put on this list.
I'm gonna cheat here a bit. I'm gonna cheat here and say Lou Gehrig because it's a 2-for-1 special for me. I can either watch him when he played for a brief period with Babe Ruth, or watch him when he played with Joe DiMaggio. So I got a 2-for-1 here.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Okay, if you're cheating like that and saying, well, if I pick this guy, I'd also get to see DiMaggio, and then I'll probably pick, Babe Ruth. I'll take Lou Gehrig. Then I think you get more big names.
Pretty interesting, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can't go wrong. Oh, absolutely phenomenal. If you gave me a ticket to any one of those, I'd have a big smile across my face. So, yeah. Plus, if you went old school, you'd also get to hear the game broadcast, and there's a long fly ball by Buster McCoy.
Oh, boy.
Bubblegum kids, yeah. Yeah, that was great. Those
Those were
There's
the
a
days.
Shane Gillis bit about that broadcasting voice, which I'll let you look up independently. I'll link to you after this.
Who's on
It's
first?
basically a Jackie Robinson story, but Jackie Robinson's another good answer too. Seeing the first major league game by Jackie Robinson would have been something.
That would be interesting. I'd love that. Pee Wee Reese, you've got some great players there too.
Yeah.
Watch. See, now you're really cheating. 1955 Yankees against the Dodgers. I'm sure that was a good team. Yeah, you had two good teams. Then you're like a 10-for-1 special there. Just
Yeah.
saying.
Well, you go to the 1950s or whatever. You're watching just pick the Dodgers versus the Yankees ball. When did they move to LA?
Oh, I should know this. 62, maybe?
Yeah, so you still have Brooklyn. So, yeah, you've got some superstar names in there. Anyway. Yeah, no good answer. They're all correct.
They are all correct. Well, 57, when they were moving. 58, they moved first season. On that note, Steve, we've got 12 concurrent viewers watching us on Twitter, I believe. Send us home. What you got?
Oh, man. You put me under the gun just right there. I didn't know we were wrapping up. Let's see. How can I end this on an interesting note? No, I'm going to divert it back to you, John. You sprung it. You sprung the closing notes on me. Other than I'll say go Royals.
Go Royals for sure. I'm enjoying the way the NL West is panning out. I was hoping we wouldn't have a season where the Dodgers. I know we're early. I was hoping we wouldn't have a season where the Dodgers felt like they were running away with something, and then why are you watching? And I was hoping for the Padres sort of live up to their end of the bargain. If they want to be rivals, let's live up to your end of the bargain. But to see the Giants there as well, and again, as of earlier today, the Dodgers, number 3 there in that division. It's competitive, and nothing's more exciting than competitive baseball.
Yeah. Oh, I got 2 things for you that I thought to close it out from. Super excited for my birthday. A couple friends got together and got me Royals Padres tickets.
Oh, that's fun.
End of June. I will be there to watch the Royals take on the Padres. And the last time we were there, man, I just love the Pod. We got to talk about stadium idiosyncrasies at sometime, right? I hope I don't have to hear it because it means that the Padres will be shutting the Royals down in the 9th. But the Friar Bell that you guys have for any Padres fans listening is so good. Like, that is one of I put it as the coolest idiosyncrasy that any stadium has, ringing the Friar Bell. So I'm there and they're ringing that. And it means my team is losing, but I'm like, God damn, that's cool. Shut up. So that's one. And shoot, what was the other one? Dang it, short-term memory loss. Forgive me, I'm over 40. But yep, really looking forward to that, and I'll think of the other one in just a second.
Oh God, I don't want to sound like I'm flexing on you because I don't intend it to be that. Okay. But you reminded me. I will be in Chicago in a couple weeks, and I'm catching 2 Dodger Cup games at Wrigley.
Oh man, okay,
I know it's one of those things where I don't mean to flex. I can't help it because it's so cool, and it just comes off as a flex because I suppose it would be.
God, Wrigley's probably the best stadium. Yeah. That's got to be number 1 if you take polls, right? Number 1's got to be Wrigley.
It's nice. It's nice.
By a significant margin. What else? Yeah, we'll see. Back to baseball, happy days.
Back to baseball, happy days. Maybe next week or next time we talk about the Oakland Athletics and that Sutter Field. Anyhow, on that note, go baseball.
Yeah. All right. Pleasure talking to you, John.
Catch y'all later.
Thank you guys for watching.
Yep.